All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build a CRM. Now, this doesn't matter if you are transitioning from one CRM to another, maybe GoHighLevel to close CRM, HubSpot, or if you are going from Google Sheets into a CRM for the first time. What we're going to break down in this video is the principles of how to actually think about your CRM. Now, again, it doesn't matter if you're an operator trying to actually build a CRM, or you're a business owner trying to understand how CRM is actually going to impact your business. Because at the end of the day, we always want to make sure that everything is principles first thinking, meaning that we're engineering an outcome. Now, why would we use a CRM in the first place? Well, we want to increase our revenue, right? That is why we want to use a CRM. Okay? Now, the question then becomes, how does a CRM help us increase our revenue? Now, again, it doesn't matter if you've never used a CRM before, or you're already doing $30 million a year on a current CRM. These principles are still very, very important about how you think about current CRM you have, or the CRM that you're going to have. So we want to increase revenue. How does a CRM help us actually do this? Well, there are a few ways. So, and hopefully you guys can see my little notepad here. I'm kind of looking down because I'm writing on a notepad. But one is going to be making sure nothing slips through the cracks. So making sure nothing slips through the cracks. All right. Now, when I say this means that leads are coming in, and depending on your deal size, each lead has a ton of value. Now, where I see most sales processes go wrong is that leads are coming in and they just seem to be disappearing. All right. And if you think of leads as cash, as money, as revenue, well, what part of your business would you not be plugging those holes? If you know that as you're walking down the street, your pants have holes in them and money is falling out of your pockets, would you not change your pants? Right? Would you not fix that hole in your pant pocket to make sure that you're not losing money? It's the same thing with CRM. Okay, so the first one is make sure that nothing ever slips through the cracks. The second is to automate tasks. Okay, so we want to increase our productivity as a sales rep, as a sales manager, as a leadership team. For leadership team, that means you have reports that you can actually trust, that you can visualize, you can see, and you make data-driven decisions. As a manager, we need to be able to see what our team is doing, where they're at for the month, what their projections are, how many deals they have in the pipeline, how we can support them in moving those deals forward. And then number three is for the sales reps themselves. We want to reduce as much creative burden as possible for them, and we want to reduce the number of clicks that they're actually doing in the system so that they can do more of what they're supposed to be doing. Revenue generating activities, that is dialing, that is talking to customers, that is emailing customers, that is sending text messages, and closing deals. Okay, so a lot of times we don't have a CRM. Leads are just disappearing, right? We're not following up with them properly, or we have no automated tasks. And then the third out of these three, so we have making sure things go through the cracks, we have automating tasks, and we have increasing productivity on the other side. So not automating, but instead making sure that we understand when a lead comes in, how long does it take to actually outreach that client? Okay, so we're optimizing the entire sales process. So usually, let's say we're talking about VSL. Now your business model might be slightly different. So VSL is a video sales letter if you don't know, and essentially that means someone clicks on that, they hit your landing page. When they hit your landing page, they see a video, and they fill out an application where they go. Okay, so when they fill out the application, we want to capture all of those partial submits, and we want to send them to CRM. But the question is, what do we do with partial submits? Well, we want to be able to call those people, but we don't want to call people that already booked a call. So now we're able to start optimizing inside the CRM and creating lists and segments of these different customers, so that we can effectively work through all of our leads, especially if you have higher lead volume. Now, with Mastermind.com, one of the biggest challenges was we had millions of leads coming in, but we had a limited amount of sales reps. We can't hire hundreds and hundreds of sales reps. Well, we could, I guess, but that wasn't the goal, right? So the question is, how do you take all of these leads and boil it down to only the ones you actually want to talk to? And you cannot really do that without CRM. Yes, you can do a Google Sheets and get segments, a bunch of Google Sheets, you can have them calling off your cell phone. If you're doing any type of volume, that is just not the path. Okay? So we want to optimize our process. Okay? And CRM is going to allow you to do that. Okay? So again, just recapping on this beginning piece, we have making sure nothing ever slips through the cracks, we have automating tasks, and we have optimizing the actual process. Okay? So that's what CRM is going to help you. Now the question is, how do you get CRM to actually do that? Because a lot of you have invested heavily into a CRM previously, or you hired agencies to build you a CRM, or you brought someone in to build it for you, whatever it may be, and maybe you just haven't seen the results that you were hoping to see from a CRM or a sales process. And the first thing we need to start with is a blueprint. All right? Now, when I say blueprint, depending on what industry you're in, you may think of a blueprint as like a document. What we're talking about is mapping the entire sales process and creating a blueprint. All right? Just so you can see, if I was an architect, I have a true blueprint. We need a blueprint of your sales process, not the CRM of your sales process. Okay? So typically, the tools we're going to use is going to be Miro, is a great one. 2, ClickUp has a pretty good board in there. ClickUp. Or 3, Lucid. I can't write today. LucidChart. Okay? So you want to get one of those 3 softwares, and you're going to go in there. And it's not complex. It doesn't matter if you're running the company or you're a solo founder or you are an off person trying to get this for your team. You just get one of these softwares, and we're going to create a process map. Okay? So when we create this process map, you don't need to overcomplicate this. All you need is squares and lines. And I'm going to explain. Okay? Now the problem with most process maps that I see is that as we map it out, we do this like super high level process map. We don't ever go into the details. Okay? So it's great. You can do a high level one, but we also need the details. We need to get as detailed as possible when we're writing this out. Now, what does that mean? Well, if we draw a little box here, we're going to say app, APP, okay? And the application goes to the booking page. So I'm going to put booking page BP, and then from the booking page, it goes to the thank you page. Okay? So I'm going to put thank you page right here. Now this is a super simple illustration of a blueprint, of a process map. Okay? Now the problem with this, we need to make sure that we're connecting all of those end routes to something else. And this is where all your money is going to start coming back. This is where your lifetime value of your clients is going to increase. This is where your cost per acquisition is going to decrease. Okay? Is as a lead comes in, we have all of these things falling out. We have leads falling out of these buckets. Okay? And you need something to catch all of these leads. And that's where your CRM comes in. But if you don't properly map this, you are never going to know where those things are falling out of the bucket. Okay? So the second thing would be to create the blueprint, start mapping it out. All you have to do is take all of your thoughts. Here's what happens in the buying process. Okay? They land on this page, then they go to this page, then they fill out this form. Once they fill out this form, they go here. Then you have to look at it and ask the second set of questions, which is if they go to this page or they don't go to this page, what happens? And that is where you will capture so much revenue inside of your sales process. Where are my leads falling through the cracks? Where are they disappearing? And again, think of it literally. One of my favorite books was The Richest Man and the Bad One. And he talks about his little money bag, right, that they would have back in, Babylon. And as he's walking down the street, he can hear coins falling out of his pocket. And that's why I think of leads as they come to the system. So anytime we work with a client, we look for every place that a lead could be slipping through the cracks. Okay? Now, if you want help doing this, you don't want to do all this on your own, maybe you're busy, maybe you're tired trying to figure this out on your own, feel free to schedule time to speak with me or someone on my team. We've been doing this for 8+ years. Some of the biggest names in the industry, from Robinson, Guys, Morgan, Gmail, Angie, and 30 other different niches, everything from crypto to SaaS to lending. So we have a lot of experience doing this. We will make sure to find all of the money you might be needing in your sales process or prevent it from ever happening in the first place. But let's move on. So now we understand why we use a CRM. We understand that we're creating a blueprint to ensure we don't miss any steps. Now this blueprint needs to be done before you start building anything inside your CRM. Now next thing I want to touch on is about concepts in the CRM itself and the things that matter most. So I'm just going to list these out here. So we have 1, lead statuses. Okay? So any CRM is going to have some type of lead status. 2, you're going to have objects. Okay? I'm going to explain what objects are in just a moment. 3, we're going to have pipelines. Now if you've never heard of these before, we're going to explain them. If you've already heard of these before, we're going to make sure you actually understand how to use them and why they exist. So we have lead status, objects, pipelines. We have lists/views. Okay? We have settings. Okay? So these are kind of like your big buckets of what you need to make sure. And then I looked at 6 automations. Okay? So regardless if you're using GoHighLevel, HubSpot, close CRM, and there's a million, there's Monday.com, there's ADIO. Regardless of what you're using, you're going to have these essentially inside there. Okay? So with that, what are lead statuses? A lot of people use lead statuses incorrectly. Lead statuses should be at the highest level of your business. Now, similar to life cycle stages in HubSpot, but lead status is at the very top. Okay? Are they a new lead? Have they been engaged with? Are they marketing qualified lead? Are they a sales qualified lead? Right? Where are they at in your buying journey? Are they a customer? Are they a deal loss? Okay? So lead status is on this super high level. Okay? A lot of people mess up lead status because they start adding in a bunch of things like call 1, call 2, call 3. That is not the place to notate that kind of stuff. There are other places I'm showing you where you want that information. But lead status is simply signifying, are they in contact with this person? Are they not? So are they available number? Are they not? Are they currently in the sales pipeline? Are they not? Are they a deal? Are they not? Etc. Okay? Now objects. This is where we have our primary things, which is going to be 1, contacts. Okay? We have contacts. We have deals. We have custom objects. Okay? And again, this is pretty much any CRM you use. So contacts and deals. We think of these as objects. They are different things. We also have companies. We have companies in here. Okay? So in any given business, a contact would be me, Jordan Clark. Okay? I have a phone number, I have an email, and that has specific actions that Jordan took inside the organization. Then we have deals. So has Jordan taken enough action with X company to say that we need to create a deal? We don't want to create a deal for Jordan if you just fill that form online and did nothing else. But if you fill that form online and let's say completed an application and booked a call, well, now we can create a deal for that person. Right? Now when you decide to create a deal, completely up to you, but that's the difference between a contact and a deal. Now companies, Jordan may also work for a company. Okay? So if you are in B2B and you're targeting companies, your primary object that you're going to be working with is going to be companies instead of contacts. So you're going to have companies, and you're going to have contacts associated with the companies. Now, vice versa, you may be working with individuals, and they might work at a company, and it's valuable information to have. So now you have contacts with companies associated. All right. Now, these associations, how they connect together, are very, very important, especially if you're using something like HubSpot. Okay. There's a whole thing called association labels. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but that is how you decide how to associate multiple deals to multiple companies, multiple contacts, and get them all working together. Okay. And we have custom objects. And custom objects are essentially things like I'm trying to think of a good example. So you could use it for like an onboarding process. You have a custom object like onboarding, and inside of that you have all the onboarding details. So you have onboarding status as a property. Okay. So you have all these different things. Now, on each of these objects, you're going to have properties. Okay. And I'm trying to keep this high level as possible, also giving you as much information on how to think about the structure of CRM. Okay. So properties, we're going to have contact properties, deal properties, we're going to have custom object properties, we're going to have company properties. Simple rule of thumb here: keep them limited, and number 2, name them clearly. Okay. So when it comes to properties, we want to keep them limited. We don't want to just keep adding properties. One of the biggest mistakes I see when we go into fix someone's CRM, which is about 80% of the clients that we actually work with, so fixing issues instead of starting fresh, is that we have a million different properties. We have 10 different people creating properties. No one knows what's actually real and what's not, and we have to spend a ton of time just going through this huge list of properties and trying to figure out. If you're using Infusionsoft, you probably know tags, right? How many tags did you have in Infusionsoft account? Probably too many. Next up is naming them clearly. All right, this one is so simple. Okay, if you're taking notes on a notepad and you just scribble stuff all over a notepad, it's not going to be useful in the future. Same thing for properties. We want to make sure that we're naming them as clearly as possible so that they can be used for as long as possible. All right. So next up is pipelines. So a pipeline is essentially a place where deals will reside. All right. So let me draw a little arrow down here. So we have deals reside in pipelines. Okay. And the whole point of a pipeline, essentially, is to understand how deals progress through the pipeline and see visually where deals are sitting or stuck. Okay? So if you run a SaaS company, pipelines are essentially kind of where pipelines came from. Was, SaaS companies needing to be able to have this board view and understand where their deals are. Okay? So you want to make sure that your pipeline has the correct stages inside of it. Now, pipeline stages, you want things like application submitted, right? Call booked, call completed, call not completed, deal won, deal lost, right? And you want deals progressed through. So and then follow up, obviously, you want 1 or 2 follow-up stages. So if the deal is in call booked, great. But if the date was of the appointment was in the past, it should still be in call booked. So now our manager can easily look back, hey, why is this deal still sitting over here, right? Did we have communication with this person? Oh yeah, they showed up. I forgot to do it. Okay, great. Okay. So pipelines simply help you visualize how much revenue you have sitting in each of these stages, and you can have conversations on how to move those deals forward if they've been stuck in that state for too long. Okay. Next up is list views. So I have another video on this, but we want to think of lists as that was a horrible arrow, but bear with me. We want to think of lists as a bucket. I'm drawing a bucket. I'm not an artist, guys. I'm an operator, but I'm going to make this nice little bucket right here. Okay. So with the bucket, we want leads to go into the bucket, and then we want leads to come out of the bucket. Okay. And then we want leads to go back into the bucket and repeat this process until we throw it away. Okay. And we throw it away. So what does this mean? Well, we kind of have this like circular thing inside here. So when we think of lists and views, I'm going to change your life if you've been using lists differently. So instead of just having a list of contacts that we're supposed to call and having a sales rep be like, oh, this person I know, we click on lead, yeah, I already called them, go to the next one. Oh shoot, wait, I already checked this one. That's usually the process, right? So to prevent that, we want to create buckets, meaning leads enter and leads leave. Now how do they enter and how do they leave? Well, leads enter the bucket by essentially having filters that qualify them to fit onto this list. So one of the most common lists that we would create is application completed no book call. So let's say they filled out a website form, but they didn't book a call, or they filled out an application on your ad, but they didn't book a call. Okay. So it's high opportunity for those people to book a call. They were interested, obviously, so we need to have a conversation with them. So we want to make sure that anyone has an application submitted but no booked call meets that criteria. Okay. And these are filters that we're using. Now, once the lead makes it on there, we need additional filters. So we want to make sure time zone is within X amount of time. So we're not trying to call them in the wrong time zone. We want to make sure that total outbound calls is less than X, so less than 10, less than 5. Okay. We want to make sure that the most recent communication is not incoming, right? So they haven't already texted us back and it's sitting in our primary inbox. Okay. So what this means is if I call that lead 10 times, it's going to exit the bucket, right? If I book a meeting with that lead, it's going to exit the bucket. If I make a phone call to that person, it's going to exit the bucket until the next phone call is due, and then it's going to pop back into the bucket. Okay. So hopefully that helps you visualize how to think about these lists and views. Now the second thing that we want is process checks. Okay. So list views are for dialing, for follow-up, all of that, and process checks are ultimately on the other side of how do you hold reps accountable to what they're supposed to be doing, how do we make it easy for managers to be able to understand what is and is not being completed. So a process check would be something like I mentioned earlier. You had a deal that got moved to call booked, but it never moved out of call booked. Okay. So you can have something like a list that says the call booked exists and date of the call is in the past. Okay. So when you do this, we're essentially now bringing up all of these people that should have moved to a different stage. We know that the call date was in the past. And if the call date is in the past, then we know that it should have been completed or not completed. It should have moved. It should have been deal 1, deal lost, follow up, no show, whatever it is. So we're creating a list of bubble these up. Okay. The sales rep should have a list, and the sales manager should have a list. The sales manager is all users that are on his team, and the sales rep is just their lead, so they are the owner of that lead. And you can do this on contact level or the deal level. Okay. So that is that. Now settings vary from CRM to CRM. First thing you really want to make sure is settings and making sure A to P is done. So if you're setting up a new CRM, first thing you need to set up A to P before you pretty much do anything else, because that can take a while to get approved. A to P is essentially a carrier restriction on your phone numbers that allow you to only make phone calls and not send SMS. If you want to send SMS from a 10-digit phone number, you have to get A to P approved, and that's for any type of dialer or CRM. So it doesn't matter if it's GoHighLevel, CRM, HubSpot, IO, Monday.com, Outlier, etc. Okay. So A to P. And the next one is automations. So automations are kind of tough to cover in this video. I'm just going to cover a couple principles on how to think about automation. So when we come into automations, okay, what we really need to understand here is that one, simplicity wins every time. Okay, so if you do not have simplicity inside your sales process, you are going to fail. It's just not going to work. Okay, and I don't know why I just realized my video. I don't know if this is cool for you guys. So that's super odd. But anyway, so simplicity inside the automations. Most people try to overcomplicate automations. They don't need. You're just trying to achieve the end result. So you always again want to use principles first thinking and engineer the outcome first. So engineer the outcome and then decide what is the easiest way to get to that. Okay, so 1 is simplicity. 2 is minimum tools. So how can we achieve this with using the least amount of tools? All right, and then 3 is using things like no-code automation. So you want to use Zapier, Make.com, NAN. And various things. Our channel has a ton of videos on how to use Zapier, Make, and etc. But that would be the 3 things on automation: simplicity, using minimum tools, and use low-code or no-code tools instead of doing web-hooks or advanced integrations. Okay? So hopefully this video helps you understand exactly how to optimize your sales process or to fix your CRM, to build your first CRM, thinking through the lens of these things. Now again, if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, or you just want to talk with our team, see how we might be able to help you move this project forward as quickly as possible, feel free to book time with our team. We'll be able to handle just about anything when it comes to sales process, automation, leadership, etc. So we would love to chat with you and see how we might be able to support. But I hope this video was helpful. Check out the other videos on the channel. We have everything from HubSpot to leadership, sales operations. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side.